I'd like to call Board of Adjustments meeting for special meeting on September 8th, 2025 order. And if we would start the meeting by standing with the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. I guess point of order, you swear in, thank for welcoming in the meeting, Steve Joseph, alternate, landing motion. We need to I have a motion. So moved. Second. All in favor, signify by any opposed, same sign. Okay, that's the, we have, I guess, two sets of agenda to approve, right? Two of them, meeting minutes. And I have a motion for minutes, please, for the, April 22nd and the July 22nd Board of Adjustment meeting. Move to approve. Have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Okay. We have one item on the agenda, special use permit. And a little explanation of our hearing tonight. This is the hearing is a quasi judicial evidentiary hearing. That means that it is similar to a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decision. These rules are different from other types of administrative and legislative land use decisions. The board's discretion is limited. The board must base its decisions upon competent, relevant, and substantial evidence in the record. It is a decision constrained by the standards in the ordinance and based on the facts presented. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. The meeting is open to the public. Parties with standing have rights to participate fully. Parties are limited to the applicant, the local government, and individuals that show they have standing and will suffer special damages. Special damages may include parking, stormwater runoff, crime problems, or property value impact. Proximity alone is not enough to prove such. Other individuals may serve as witnesses when called by the board. General witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. Individuals providing expert opinion must be qualified as experts and provide the factual evidence on which they base their expert opinion. In this hearing, we will first hear from the town staff and then from the applicant and its witnesses. And then from any opponents who have signed up to speak to this request. The applicant may choose to reserve time at the end for rebuttal. Parties may cross-examine a witness after the witness testifies when questions are called for. We want the board to see written evidence such as reports, maps, or exhibits. The witness who is familiar with the evidence should ask that it be introduced during or at the end of his or her testimony. Attorneys who speak should not give factual testimony, but may summarize their client's case. Guidance from the board. I will correct you if you do not follow the proper procedures, and I will rule on all objections. Before you begin your testimony, please clearly identify yourself and your address for the record. There are no time limits on how long you may speak, but please be considerate of everyone's time and can be concise with your comments. Also, I can and will stop any testimony that is irrelevant to this application, incompetent, unduly repetitive of evidence already given, or a personal attack. Finally, by law, some kinds of evidence can only be given by an expert. For example, opinions about property values would need to be given by an appraiser, and opinions on stormwater would need to be given by a design professional. Is there any board member who has had any ex parte communication or any discussions with anybody or any related to this request? Okay. I will open it for city staff, please. I formally open the public hearing this request. And this is uh, a request for a special use permit for a tattoo parlor on 107A East 8th Street. And we'll have Wendell, our staff person. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So you got it?
I do.
Thank you. Wendell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, board members. The lovely Cheyenne's going to be my clicking assistant for tonight. I think you went too far. Would you go back? There you go. For your consideration this evening, I am bringing forth the special use permit application submitted by Mr. Nicholas Chisholm of 105 Bay Street, Supply, North Carolina. The applicant is requesting to operate a tattoo and body piercing parlor out of 107A East 8th Street. The request land use is currently obsolete in the Unified Development Ordinance. Before getting into the details of the case, a quick background is necessary for context. Please note that a text amendment addressing the loss of this land use, amongst others, is under review and has been recommended for approval by the planning board. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions regarding that as we move forward. Next slide, please. In 2024, the city of Southport relinquished its extraterritorial jurisdiction to Brunswick County. In doing so, the city lost 3 zoning districts: the heavy industrial, light industrial, and the manufactured housing districts. Here, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the UDO specified the heavy industrial zoning district as a district designed for commercial, warehousing, and industrial uses. And that'll become important in a moment. Next slide, please. With the relinquished ETJ and the loss of 3 zoning districts, a total of 12 land uses became obsolete, of which tattoo and piercing establishment is one. However, before the loss of the ETJ, tattoo and piercing establishments are permitted only in the heavy industrial district and only by way of special use permit without specific use standards. Simply put, tattoo parlors were only ever permitted by way of an SUP and with no additional use standards required. So if this was going to be a regular case, if we still had a heavy industrial, we'd still be coming before the board for a special use permit. All existing uses within the UDO are assigned a zoning district in which that use may be permitted pending certain standards. So if we look at this table here, you'll see on the left-hand column, there's the land uses. I know it's not easily to read. Top blue are the different zoning districts that we have here. If you see a space next to the land use that is blank, that means that land use is prohibited. It is not allowed. Short of a rezoning, can you put that land use in that zone? If you see the letter P next to it, that means within that zone, it is permitted by right. If you see a PS, that means it is permitted by right, but there are standards associated with it that are required, such as parking standards or lighting standards, etc. If you see just a simple S, that means it is a special use permit. And if I draw your attention to the former tattoo and piercing establishment, you'll see again that this was permitted by a special use permit in the heavy industrial zone. Next slide, please. Before going further, I want to express that while some uses are protected and required by all jurisdictions, such as various housing requirements, tattoo and body piercing is not a protected class of land use. So there's not a First Amendment correlation to this or relationship to tattoo and body piercing that requires us to have it as land use. In the event that land use does not exist, planning staff's responsibility is to find a classification of use close to the one being proposed and apply those standards in implementation. As of the summer of 2024, Southport does not have the proposed land use, nor is there a land use of similar characteristics. The applicant in this situation is left with 2 options. The applicant can choose to put in text amendments, which would require planning review, planning board recommendation for approval or denial, recommendation for denial, and then approval by the Board of Auditors. Or the applicant can apply for special use permits under the use, and as we say right here, business, commercial, or non-residential use not elsewhere classified. The applicant has chosen this path. As illustrated in this image, this land use is allowed in the BD zone as a special use permit with specific use standards. And I'll get more into those standards in a second. The UDO qualifies the BD as a commercial related district with lot and setback requirements suitable for placement of budding residential areas. Please come join us. That differs from the heavy industrial in that this is allowed in smaller commercial zones that are budding residential uses of the BD is. The following slide, the next slide, please. The following slides detail the use standards required to be met in order for the use of business, commercial, or non-residential, not elsewhere classified land use. Where permitted, the following shall apply. And I'm not going to read every language here. I want to just highlight that staff has responded to each one of these, and you'll see that in your staff reports. For item number 1, we find that the proposed use is low in intensity relative to what is permitted within the BD and the existing uses in the immediate area. Slide 7, please. Furthermore, we did a development review evaluation of the proposed use, and we looked at it as if the land use tattoo and body piercing establishment were still applicable, and we looked at it through the eyes of business, commercial, or non-residential use, not elsewhere classified. Both of them are developmentally appropriate for that area. Parking requirements are met. 1 for every 200 square feet of space. If we use the lens of business, commercial, or non-residential use, not elsewhere classified. And then it's 1 for 100 square feet of space if we were to evaluate this through the lens of tattoo and body piercing. The shop has 625 square feet, so they meet this requirement per the applicant right there. Another point I want to draw your attention to is that the shop door is substantially recessed from the exterior wall of the multi-tenant building that it resides in. This means that the facade is not directly in your face. It is going to be low impact, and it's not going to be something that you see easily from street view. Business hours will be non-traditional. The benefit of that is that they do not account for an increase in peak hour traffic. The location has existing infrastructure such as lighting that the applicant will not have to add any more lighting or any more parking or any other development requirements. Next slide, please. In response to item number 2, staff find that the standard does not apply to the proposed use. This is really stipulating that there's not going to be any outdoor activity or any outdoor storage. So as a tattoo parlor, under the guise of business, commercial, or non-residential use not elsewhere classified, this does not apply. Next slide, please. Parking and loading requirements shall be those noted for those most closely associated with purpose. Again, we found that the proposed use parking requirements met or exceeded the standard established in the UDO. Next slide, please. And then the proposed operating hours. The Board of Adjustment shall reasonably consider and may require the establishment of appropriate hours of operation for the proposed use, should they determine such limitation to be appropriate in order to protect, maintain, or promote the general public health, safety, and welfare. As I had mentioned previously, the hours are non-traditional. They were originally operating from 4:30 onward, and also by most tattoo standards, parlor standards, they would be operating from appointments only. Not only, but by and large, by appointment. Next slide, please. Finally, item number 5. The Board of Adjustment shall consider and may require any additional relevant time, place, and manner conditions or restrictions as may be deemed or appropriate for the location. Essentially, the applicant has made it abundantly clear that they are willing to hear out any conditions that the Board of Adjustment may have if you guys deem to have some conditions. Next slide, please. Now the case itself, all right. I apologize for all that preliminary, but I thought it was important to make sure that we had context before I provided the case. Background. The background of this case started back in April of 2025. The applicant applied for and received a permit for a tattoo parlor from Brunswick County's Health and Human Services Department. The applicant set up Ferris Ferrio Inc. at the subject location, 107A East 8th, which is a zoning district designated as BD. Mr. Chisholm claims that while getting the appropriate permits from city fire and from county health departments, no one mentioned that he would need to verify that the site he is working out of is appropriately zoned for his business. In late April, staff received a phone call requesting information for tattoo parlors, and it was explained that they were not permitted in any zoning district at the time due to the loss of the ETJ. The person who called did not leave a name at the time. In May, staff received an anonymous complaint about a parlor operating next to the bar known as the Tiki Tavern. Code enforcement investigated the matter and confirmed the allegation. Attempts by staff to contact the applicant were made, resulting in an email exchange between Mr. Chisholm and myself, and Mr. Chisholm on May 21st asking about the appropriate zoning. So this is a month after the fact that he's been operating, a month and some change after he's already been operating. Mr. Chisholm was informed that he would have to cease operations, and he responded via email that he would have his attorney reach back out to staff. I should note at this point that staff never received anything from his legal representation. In June, staff confirmed that the parlor was still in operation, and a notice violation letter was issued for operating a prohibited land use within a zoning district and for the installation of a sign without obtaining a permit first. I believe those are attachments in staff report. In response, Mr. Chisholm covered his sign and ceased operations. The staff have been informed that operations allegedly have been ongoing. We have not either confirmed or denied this, but I've heard it from multiple sources who, whether they have standing or not, I don't know, but they complained to me that it's still ongoing. On July 26th, Mr. Chisholm submitted an application for special use permits. This application was submitted in time for the August 26th Board of Adjustment meeting. However, due to an administrative error of mine, the adjacent neighbor notification letters did not reach the appropriate properties in the required time frame, and the meeting had to be rescheduled for tonight, September 8th. Slide 13, please. The subject property is located at the corner of Howe Street and East 8th. This is a Google Earth image. You can see that directly across from it is the Tiki Tavern. Where that red line is pointing to, it says that this is approximately 90 feet from the door to the residential zoning district. That zoning district is now developed and is 729 North Atlantic Avenue. The parcel ID is 237 Echo Alpha 04701. The property is a part of a property is a multi-tenant building that houses Randy's Auto Detailing, South Brunswick Counseling Services, Tidewater Land Surveying, Riding Bar Contracting, and Coastal Golf Carts. Next slide, please. Directly east is a lot that is currently vacant and is owned/used by Joe Shirk Hospital. It is a laydown yard for their increased parking space that they're developing, and it is zone O&I. Approximately 90 feet from southeast from recessed door is a residential zoning district, zone R10. And across from the proposed shop is the Tiki Tavern, also zone BD, and is substantially more impactful than the proposed use. Next slide, please. So here we have two images. This image on the left is taken from, thank you. The image on the left is taken from the applicant's proposed shop door. As you can see, it's kind of obscure. Very far in the distance, you can see the residence, but I just want to illustrate what this looks like from both ends. The image on the right is from the residential zoning district, looking inward to where Mr. Chisholm's proposed shop would be. And again, it's that recessed hallway down there. Yes, sir.
Did we move the picture of the meeting?
I'll ask Cheyenne if that's.
I can't move it. It's the way that the team's screen is. What I can,
Can you?
There.
Does that help?
Exactly where the store is, please.
Pardon?
Any point on the screen where the front door?
Absolutely, sir. Cheyenne, will you put your cursor on the blue? That is where the door
That's
is.
the front door to the business.
I'm pretty certain, yes, sir. So I took these pictures to highlight what residents in the nearby area should see in the operation of day-to-day operations. In summary, the applicant is seeking approval for a land use that does not currently exist. The text amendment is underway to correct that. The applicant is requesting to establish this tattoo and piercing parlor in the business district, which is adjacent to other commercial higher intensity uses such as a bar. The location also happens to be less than 100 feet from a residential zoning district and single-family residence. Again, that's the image from on the right. That's though the request is for a land use that no longer exists, the business, commercial, or other non-residential uses not elsewhere classified allows the applicant to be reviewed by the Board of Adjustment. And the Board of Adjustment is the appropriate venue for such a special use permits. I mention that because I've had some citizens stipulate that they felt there should be a hearing by the planning board. And I've had to explain it multiple times that that is the wrong venue for this request. This includes my presentation. I can answer any questions regarding it or the staff reports. Thank you.
Any questions of Wendy?
Speak to the planning board process for the next please.
Yes, sir. The planning board process, if Mr. Chisholm elected to do a text amendment, citizen-led text amendment, which was made available to him, it would have been a multiple month-long process that would require staff review and developments that we would present to the planning board for their review. They would make a recommendation of either denial or approval to the Board of Aldermen, and the Board of Aldermen would ultimately confirm or deny that request for the text amendment. Now, are you asking specifics about the text amendment, sir?
Is there a text amendment?
There is text amendment. Yes, sir. So when we lost the ETJ, we, as I mentioned, lost a lot of stuff. And our current UDO, Article 3, does not reflect the actuality of South Ports at the moment. So Article 3 is basically going through a whole revamp right now. And it has been approved with conditions, it has been recommended for approval with conditions by the planning board. And it'll be going before the Board of Adjustment in the next month or two.
Which says,
Excuse me, Board of Aldermen, thank you.
which says it's not here.
So we're doing both things just to beat the timeline.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't know if that was a question or a statement.
What I'm hearing is they have a right to appeal to a special use permit.
Absolutely,
To
so,
the Board of Adjustments,
yes.
irregardless of what we're doing with the planning board.
Absolutely, it's a due process right that as staff, we do not have the authority to say, no, you can't do that, wait for the text amendment to come out.
Right.
That's why we're here and not through the planning board and the Board of Adjustment. I can give you more details about this specific text amendment. Mr. Robbins is shaking his head yes. So essentially, the text amendment says that the proposed use of tattoo body piercing establishment will come back amongst other land uses that we've lost. And it will come back in the BD zone and in the highway commercial zoning districts as specific or as special use permits only. So basically, it would keep the same establishment as it was before we lost the land use. Special use only, without any kind of further specific use standards, but it would be allowed in both the BD and in the highway commercial. I cannot tell you what the Board of Aldermen will do. They could very well say, we do not like either of this. They could very well say, why not put it in highway, in other zoning districts? But as it stands, the planning board recommended this for approval, so.
Would you go back for a while to the one that had the zones on it?
Yes, sir.
The zoning districts?
Yeah.
Okay. This one?
No,
Oh.
one that
They
had,
had the yellow
each
image.
one of the, and each one of the zoning districts.
One,
Marlon, this one?
No,
With all the zoning districts on it.
it's similar to this, but it's got the three. It's in our handout too.
This one, there's this one,
Yeah.
and that one.
You go back to the previous. Okay,
Trying to put the text part that says context.
this,
You look at this.
package, HC,
I don't think I have that one in this presentation.
has nothing for tattoo. There, it does. What am I missing?
What page are we on?
6, well, 6 of 11, let me see what the,
This
must be page 25.
Are you talking about the excerpt from table 3.1 that we're looking for? Or the image of the zoning districts, the overlay?
It's 25 of the chart. It's
Are you-
25 in the package.
That's what he's.
Mr. Lemons, are you referring to this image?
Yes.
I did not include it into the.
I'm bringing it up now. I'm bringing it up now.
I kind of understand why, because it's different.
Well, this image shows the lost zoning districts and reflection of the tattoo parlor establishments. So the NH, the LI, and the HI are lost zoning districts. I didn't feel that was, it would have been duplicate information. That's why I didn't add it.
What's your question, Harley?
Was it different?
I don't see what's different. Yeah, I mean, what's your concern or question?
BD in this chart has no, oh wait,
It doesn't have to induce it.
No, it's the old sheet, or if you look at the old sheet, that's the old one, it's no longer.
Correct, yes, sir.
This is,
This is highlighting the old UDO.
Right.
And the relationship that tattoo and piercing establishments no longer exist. Now that does those three zoning districts, NH, LI, HI. Whereas the other one is just a highlight
What is your specific concern, Harley? I'm having trouble. I don't know anybody else on board. What's your question and what's your,
I don't know why they would be different.
huh?
I don't know why they would be different. And that's kind of the heart of our discussion here.
Well,
Is it the ETJ?
MDJ doesn't have anything to do with that chart.
Yes, it does.
What doesn't?
These zoning districts.
all right, hold on, Linda. Let's try to help Harley out. I mean, this is kind of like non-existent with.
Right.
The way it's
So not
non-existent.
the one that
The one you had up. The
Yes.
reason it's blank is because it no longer
It
exists.
no longer exists. Whereas this one right here, again, same thing, it no longer exists. But I used this, I thought it was a little bit more, I used this one in the presentation because it was a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And it was a little bit more simplified. And this is more or less just an example of what you would see when you look at the table 3.1 in the UDO. And I broke down what a blank square means, what a P in the square means.
Down a little bit so you can see the tops. Come on, down.
oh, you want to see the
There
heads?
you go. Whoa.
So that's the same thing, it's just not highlighting the other two zoning districts that are deleted, so.
And the S on there is saying what?
That it's a special use permit only. That,
This is where we're at.
which is where we're at, yes, sir.
Currently.
Yes, sir.
I was really surprised to know that the board of adjustments had the power to do this. So it's, if we were to approve that in business, right? Would other folks have the right to go into different zones?
Negative, sir. So, as a quasi judicial hearing, which this is, it does not carry precedent with it. It's a case by case basis. So as a special use permit, this is case by case. So say I want to open up a tattoo parlor and assuming that is the same scenario as now, it no longer exists. And I wanted to put it in the HC, Highway Commercial Zoning District. You could very well find in favor of me versus fault of this one and vice versa. So there's no precedent established with this case.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, when we go forward with the Board of Adjustments and the new, the code that you recommended, the ordinance you recommended, it'll eliminate this kind of stuff coming to this board, or at least tattoo part, correct?
It would eliminate
In that
future
future.
of this. If I understand the question correctly, sir, if you're asking, please let me,
When, if what the planning board and what y'all worked on that is going to the Board of Aldermen is approved, we would not have gotten this request. You would have, and internally would have been able to deal with this.
yes and no. The yes is that you'd still be hearing a special use permit for a tattoo and piercing establishment. You would not be hearing a special use permit for business, commercial, or other use not listed. And so it wouldn't be this conundrum that we find ourselves in. It'd be for a specific land use that would at that time exist.
And that's being remedied.
That's being remedied by the, ideally, not what, I don't know what the aldermen are gonna do again. But as I mentioned
What about
before,
this text will be new now revised on the table? Will you add that?
yes, sir, it would be, yes, so the table will reflect all the existing, zoning districts.
Plus,
And it will reflect all the land uses that are there, that are allowed within the.
Tattoo and piercing will be plugged into the system.
Assume that is proposed or that's approved by the Board of Aldermen. Yes, sir.
Harley, you good?
So if we were to approve it and the Board of Aldermen turned it down, where would we be?
He would be approved in perpetuity for that area. Because this is a special use permit for, not for a tattoo parlor, but for a business, commercial, non-residential, or else not classified. That's what you're approving. So let me restate this. We are not approving a tattoo and piercing establishment as a land use today. We are reviewing business, commercial, or non-residential use not classified because tattoo and piercing establishment no longer exists. So in this instance, let me repeat the situation. If the text amendment makes its way to the Board of Aldermen and they strike down this provision for a tattoo parlor, which is their right, this would still stand. Because again, you're not approving a tattoo parlor. You're approving a business that's not classified, which would happen to be a tattoo parlor. The problem there is now we have a situation where anyone that wants to open up a tattoo parlor, this is the avenue that's gonna come before us. So the Board of Aldermen are gonna have to figure out, do they want to create the land use and improvements and just limit where it's gonna be permitted at? Or do they want to say, no, we don't want the land use, and now we open this back door for applicants to come in under the guise of business, commercial, non-residential, or other use.
Unclassified.
Unclassified, yes, sir. So it's kind of an interesting conundrum.
the question. The
No wonder it takes so long.
special use permit requested attaches to what, this unit?
It would be for this unit. As variance, as part of the judicial proceedings, and please correct me if I'm wrong, sir, they are in perpetuity to the land that they are issued to. So if Mr. Chisholm's business, should he want to relocate somewhere else, someone could very well open up another tattoo parlor there at 107A East 8th Street again, because the special use permit, I believe, is associated with the property
Would
In
the,
perpetuity.
and in perpetuity. Is that correct, sir?
would the permit allow any unclassified business or only a tattoo and piercing establishment?
That was a question I did not anticipate, didn't even consider until you mentioned it. Yes, I think so. And this is where, if you were to grant it, you would have the power to make conditions saying it's limited to tattoo and body piercing.
Could we make the limitation, define the limitation exclusively to the duration of this business's tenancy?
We'll have to seek legal guidance on that one.
That's a great question. That's where I was gonna, thanks for asking.
I think you could. I think you could, and I think that if it's approved, it would be, as Wendell said, as to the parcel itself, but it would only be approved under the auspices of the application being presented. So if it's just tattoo parlor, that's all it can be really used for. I don't think it would allow for any use that's otherwise non-specified, because that could be a whole variety of different things. I think by its very nature, it's going to be specific. That would be inherent in the application itself. As far as whether you can limit it to the period of time that's owned by, business is owned and run by a particular lessees. Is it a rented parcel? In other words,
I believe so, sir. I'll let the
It
applicant.
gotta be the man is, applying for the permit,
Right, so you have.
or the business, period.
Right.
It's not anything with the business.
Yeah. You know, I think you could potentially limit it to the term of the tenancy for this particular tenant. I don't see anything wrong with that. Who is the applicant? The applicant, the owner, the applicant?
The tenant.
He's the tenant.
He's the business owner. He's thinking not.
Yes, the owner is Mr.
It's a
Fuller,
family, it's a trust.
Raymond Fuller Trust.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the application were submitted by the land owner, looking for approval to be able to have any leaseholder in there doing this business, however long that person owns the land, it would be hard to put a condition on the application like that. But if the applicant is the lessor owns, but the lessee only, asking for approval to run their business, and the landowner is not specifically asking for approval in perpetuity, then I think you could attach a condition to the period of tenancy or the period of operation of that particular business for that particular applicant.
What is, does a tenant or a lessee have standing to apply for a special use permit under our UDO?
You have, I mean, it has been accepted as such. The applicant is listed as Nicholas Chisholm. I think that at a minimum, the property owner has to get consent or be involved in the application. That it's, I don't know, it's not really a co-applicant, it's listed as the property owner. I think fundamentally it is about the operation of the business itself, so the applicant, the owner of the business, would be able to apply for and get approval. That's the person with the vested interest, and that's how it works around here. Many properties around here are owned by one party, and then it's business operating its own enterprise within that, and it's the business owner who's asking for permission, conducting the services from the location. So I think that it's appropriate for the applicant to seek and be granted permission. Permit.
And I'm something a little out of my expertise, but I imagine if the property owner were to say, hey, we're no longer going to move forward with you leasing my property, then that would just as well say, hey, this resolves the question of making this a continuous tattoo.
In any event that the applicant, if that were a condition to this approval, that it be limited to the period of time that this business operates there. Then if it's terminated or closed for any reason, the special use permits are just no longer applicable, just expire on its own case.
Would that be a condition that the board would have to stipulate directly?
I think that you would want to do that for clarity, if that's the intent of the board, to not have this necessarily carry over to any other tattoo parlor to keep up. I mean, if nothing else, it would allow the board an opportunity to revisit the issue under the next
Newly adopted.
owner that may have different ideas about operating at different hours or doing different things in a way that gives concern to the board that this applicant doesn't. You know, it's fair to tie it or limit it in that way. And again, you don't have the owner itself coming in and asking for an application that across the board lasts for the duration of the owner's ownership.
Do we have do we have any other legal decisions that we can make other than approving or disapproving?
Well, I do think you have a little bit of a preliminary issue insofar as there previously was an issuance of a notice of violation and then a cease and desist, which apparently was complied with, from what I understand. I don't know those facts, but that happened, right? So there's this an operation that was not consistent with and in violation of the current UDO. And that leaves you in a place where that has to be, I think, addressed. You can probably address it contemporaneously with this process, so that if this were to be approved, you want to go on and make clear that whatever existing notice of violation is pending out there, you have to just dispose of it, I think, one way or the other. If it would otherwise carry penalties or fines or something like that, you have the ability to not impose those if you chose not to, but I just think it needs to be disposed of and terminated one way or another, to be clear that that's not something else that's pending out there, vis-a-vis. Those are two different things. You can get a special use permit, but you could have previously violated the UDO in another way. I mean, those are two different things. There are two different procedures that are going on at the same time.
Yes, sir.
But, okay, let me, for clarity here, so they stopped when they were issued notice to cease and desist.
As far as that,
And
yes,
they
sir.
stopped. And there's been no, I mean, I know you got reports, but there's no, quote, anything that's standing that would demonstrate that that was not true, that they didn't cease to exist. Correct. Okay, so,
That's all. I didn't see the notice of violation. The notice of violation only asked and stated that the consequence of the violation was you have to stop doing business. That's it. And they stopped doing business.
Right.
So that by itself, ironed itself out. It might be,
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, doesn't that solve that issue
it could.
from an enforcement?
So there are two notice of violations on file. One was operating a land use without getting appropriate zoning for it. The other one is for developing a sign and not getting a sign permit. If it is the board's intent to pass this, I would recommend that they get a sign permit as a condition. I don't want to say, let's sweep off notice of violation letters, particularly for that sign thing, because that's something that's caught the alderman's eye. So I want to be very cautious about that. But otherwise, the land use, as far as staff is known, has ceased. And the sign has been boarded up. But we still need the permits if they are going to be permitted.
Yeah, and that's just the way, if there's some consequence that normally would and should flow from a violation, not saying that you cannot force that just because you approve it.
Will mitigate,
That's
Yeah, it's just,
what I,
just be aware of it.
at least the first part, not the sign.
yeah, we're not the sign,
Right,
but
Right.
we approved it, we approved it. It
Right.
should mitigate that.
right. That's what I'm hearing.
And then,
I just think you need to be clear about the impact of, they're two different things, so it's not the same issue today, temporarily with the permit, but you just would want to address it specifically, and then the sign issue specifically as well.
I would be concerned about taking an action that imply that this board would take action that would obviate violations of the code if they had an application or an appeal pending in process. That's not something that I like to see.
Did the notice of violation as to the sign, what did it advise the applicant they had to do, and if they didn't do it, then what would happen?
1 second. Sorry. The corrective action was to bring the property into compliance. The sign advertising Barrio Inc. is to be removed within 15 days of receipt of this letter. No sign may be posted until a sign permit has been reviewed and issued by the UDO administrator. This code case will close upon verification that compliance has been met.
That's pretty clear too.
that sign being approved.
Yeah.
By
So there is no, well, I didn't hear anything.
I don't think
If
the
they
sign.
voted up the sign and they took it down, it sounds like.
No,
effective.
right.
You're right, Rich. I think
That's
that's,
absolutely.
I mean, why?
This permit will end when Nicholas Chisholm leaves. Right? Period.
Only if we put the stipulations.
Yeah, and we were talking about the sign issue for the moment, but
But they're not gonna be allowed to open again until that sign's fixed, correct?
Correct, and
So,
the
I
issue
mean-
that we have with the sign is not only did they put it up without permit, but it doesn't reflect the existing signs that are there. They are all kind of done, I don't want to say unprofessionally, but they are not of the greatest skill. And his sign is great in contrast. It looks fantastic. But the UDO stipulates that signs have to mirror existing signs. So when he does, before he does comply with the sign permit, we want to make sure that he understands, hey, make sure your sign reflects the similar surrounding area and it doesn't stand out in any obvious way.
So again, why, we don't have a dog in that sign fight.
No, I think we just want to make sure that it's clear that
Right.
it's
Who
required.
could it open up by taking a sign down?
This one is changed in a different way. We are approving
Sorry, but,
we are approving.
right.
We've never had that before.
Well, you can look at it
In
that way.
reality, maybe we did, but that ain't the way it came to us.
You can look at it, it depends on how you state it, it's the same, you can look at it as something for an applicant, or a tenant, or you can look at it as, it's for the property, but approved for the duration of the current tenancy, right? You can look at it either way. It really is ultimately tied to the property, but you condition the length of it, or the duration of it to this particular tenancy, so that you keep observation over what's happening in this business, that doesn't just necessarily change hands without the board's involvement. So I don't think that's material, in the sense of, I think that condition would be valid. You could frame it more of, it's granted for the parcel for the duration of the tenant. So effectively it's for the tenant, but it still adds to the parcel.
Any other questions? I feel like we're getting lost in the weeds,
I'll stand by it.
Right.
I think it's very important.
Well, I know it's very important, but I'm not sure. What I hear is the sign issue is not germane to this board. We're not dealing with that. Because that's a separate, we are dealing with the request, and how did you state it? It's not even for a tattoo parlor, it's whether it fits.
For the business, commercial.
In the use area.
So we can stipulate that the ongoing sign issue is not subject to any decision by this board.
Right.
Just call it
Right.
done with that.
Because they're not gonna let them open. It's not right. We don't have it, and has nothing to do with that.
Normally I would hold these questions to the end, but I think we need to know them going into the interview and so forth with the applicant. And we know, do we have any way of prolonging this and putting time into
Why? Why would we prolong?
my fence, my statement?
Or you didn't, I didn't recognize you to speak, so the question is, why would we wait?
I speak.
Yes, please.
Do we have any way of kind of prolong it so that it'll go with the action taken by the board alderman?
I don't think that you do in a technical way, in the sense of the ability or the authority to delay the decision on this application directly because you're waiting for the result and making it dependent upon of the alderman. You could continue it for some other reason and see if within that time frame, coincidentally, there's a decision by the board of aldermen. But I don't think that they can be made dependent upon one another. I think you have to act on the application as it currently stands, which is as to the non-classified, not otherwise specified use for which they're seeking approval.
Good.
Okay, Mayor.
No, hold on one second. Yeah, from my perspective, I don't support, we need to make a decision tonight. I think it's that simple. I think, again, without getting lost in the weeds, that's just my opinion. So, any questions, comments on that? I disagree with you. That's fine.
That's important, I think, either.
And what we decided tonight, I get into business quicker, actually, it's.
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna wait to hear from the applicant. I haven't heard from the applicant. I think that's important to do.
Well, that's why we're here, is so that the applicant, this is neither part of the presentation, but I understand they've submitted a substantial amount of money in opening up their business. And while ignorance of the ordinance doesn't resolve them from violating it, we as staff want to assist in, well, let's resolve this as quickly as we can for you. And at the same time, we had to do the text amendment anyway. So that's where we're
So
at.
he got approved by North Carolina. He got approved by the health,
This is
by
the
the
problem.
fire, by everybody. But he just didn't realize he needed a zoning
That's
special permit.
from what my understanding is, yes. And then I've had words with Brunswick County's Health Department.
Yeah.
They almost always check to make sure zoning is appropriate there.
That's why I was wondering
And
why.
they dropped the ball on this one. And I don't mean to throw anyone under the bus, but that is why we're here tonight, is because they dropped the ball on this one.
Well, and it sounds like, again, notwithstanding what someone said they were open after they were cease and desist, sounds like to me they tried to follow the rules in good faith.
After the fact.
I haven't heard anything yet that would dispute it, and I don't know if anybody else would before here, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. Any other questions of Wynn?
Look, you tell me, did you follow through and give us staff's recommendation? I know you've given us all the background, the context, the
Yeah.
detail. Did you get to the point where, okay, here's our recommendation? No, I know it's written. I didn't know if you needed to, I didn't know if you need to make it a part of the minutes in the proceedings. That's
Yes, sir. Great point. I deliberately didn't put it in the presentation just because I thought it was spelled out and
Okay.
outlining it. But staff's recommendation is that, it does not, is not a greater, issue to the local area, than say the TP tavern. So we recommend approval.
okay. That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
Okay, could we have our applicant, Mr. Chisholm? Or who's going to speak for the applicant?
Thank you, Jess.
Introduce yourself, sir.
My name's Nick Chisholm. I'm gonna be honest, I wrote what I want to say because I'm very nervous right now. I don't like public
Can
speaking.
you swear in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hand on the Bible, please. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Good evening, members of the zoning board. My name is Nicholas Chisholm, and I'm the owner of Ferris Pavilion Tattoo and Body Piercing Studio. I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you tonight in support of our special permit application. Our goal is to bring something positive to Southport, a professional, safe, and welcoming tattoo and piercing studio that celebrates creativity and self-expression while adding to the local economy. We have been overwhelmed by the amount of support we've received from our neighbors, customers, and other local business owners. We actually have a petition we have made. We have 300 signatures of local businesses and people that want to support us being open. People have told us in Southport again and again that, they want us in this space. They want a place where they can get high quality tattoos and piercings done safely by trained professionals. I'd like to address the location specifically because it's an important part of why we believe this business is a good fit. Our studio is located in an area already zoned for adult-oriented businesses, right beside a parole office and 2 bars. This is not a quiet residential neighborhood. It is an area where businesses that cater to adults are already operating successfully. Our studio will not create any additional noise, traffic, or disruption beyond what is already part of the character of that part of town. Our economic benefits, we believe we're going to create local jobs and bring consistent foot traffic to nearby shops, restaurants, and service businesses. Tattoo clients often spend hours in tattoo studios and then patronize surrounding businesses before and after, even during their appointments. Our professionalism and safety is we operate under strict health, safety, and sanitation standards. Our team is trained and certified, and we follow all state and local regulations to protect the well-being of every client. With community engagement, we want to be an active, positive member of Southport. We plan to participate in local events, collaborate with other businesses. I actually have a few local business owners here with me today that are supporting this. And get back to the causes that matter to our neighbors. We believe that this is the exact kind of thoughtful, responsible business that zoning policies are designed to encourage. One that is appropriately located, supports community goals, and brings something valuable to Southport. In closing, we respectfully ask for your approval for this special permit so we can move forward, invest in our community, and continue to make Southport a place that embraces both economic growth and creative expression. Thank you, guys.
Questions of that? Hold on.
Thank you, sir.
Questions of that?
Yeah. Has there anything, has anything been said so far in this hearing that you wanted to elaborate on or clarify beyond what you just said?
On more personal aspect, I will say, at the beginning of this journey, I've been in business with two other people that opened two shops in Brunswick County. They were in county zoning, not city. So I was not aware to even think of that. This is the first time I've ever done a shop by myself. I did everything. We built that shop. We started in February. We ripped it down to the bare concrete floors and built it all the way up with our bare hands. And that's us building houses during the day and coming there working until 2 a.m. at night. We all, me, my partner, my landlord, we're all family. We're all here to support this, you know. One of the things I've also addressed is we have not been, we've 100% complied. Absolutely, there's been times that I've been up there at the shop. I pay rent there. Sometimes I go up there paint on a canvas. Sometimes I paint on my wall, you know, like I'm trying to improve the business with a positive vibe there that it's going to stay open and successful.
Question, what about the hours of operation? I know we talked about the non-peak hours.
Yeah, we left on.
What are you looking at from a standpoint?
Well, with tattooing, it's predominantly appointments. So we were, in our eyes, it's also, Brunswick County has a lot of shops that are open during early hours of the day. It's not a lot of nighttime things, because a lot of people in construction industries, you know, like people get off work sometimes at 7, 8 o'clock at night. So we're open from 4:30 till like, you know, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night sometimes. It's mostly appointment based though. So it's not like there's a gathering of people, like there will be my business partner up there, maybe my apprentice, you know, but there's not gonna be crowds of people. It's not like a hangout spot. We also think it's a good thing for adults to be able to have that doesn't involve alcohol, you know, like just something where some grown-ups can go and hang out, have a safe space where, you know, they can enjoy each other's company without having to drink or be around drunk people if they don't drink, you know? On a personal note, this is, me and my business partner have invested everything in this. Like, we did not cut any corners. We strived to make the nicest shop in Brunswick County, and we did it by far. Like, we've addressed, you know, outside stuff, like exterior building. We've been working on it to make it nicer. Like,
You understand the issue with the sign?
yes, I do. I do. My landlord is actually, we talked about it, his sign's in need of an update, so I might be paying for a permit for both of us and update his, so his matches the quality of mine. I mean, yeah, I got $1,100 nice sign that I had made, you know, we really didn't do this the cheap way. We really did.
Any other questions that were out?
How many chairs would you have?
Just two.
Two?
Yeah, it's a small shop, but we, again, we like, the whole thing with our shop is it's personable. Like, there's a lot of shops that give off that. We give the client control of the Bluetooth so they can play their music. Like, we make a space for them, you know, like, so there's not a lot of places like that. So we like it small, we like it personal. The room is private with doors and curtains. So like, it's a really cool environment. Like, we love where we're at. I took a lot of time in thinking about where I would locate it, how it's tucked on the side of the building. It's not seen from the street. I understand tattoos have a social stigma behind them. I understand that a long time ago, the only people that got tattooed were not very reputable, good people. This is not that time. You know, my kid's pediatrician is sleeved. I did his whole arm, you know, like it's a different time. And this is a good business. The beach is a tourist place, and lots of people who go on vacation love getting tattoos. So I think it'll be a good fit.
Do you have, is there anybody here who want to speak for it? Or do we have anybody who wants to speak in opposition here?
I mean, I know I could have all my people come up here and probably speak 30 minutes, but they're here, you know, they're ready to get up here and say whatever they need to say.
You ready to get business going?
I'm ready to get in business this afternoon. That was the thing, you know, we started in February, we really got open like April, and by the time we heard about this, we'd already been working for like 2 weeks, thriving, like we seen the potential of what it can do, and then we got the notice and I'm just like, I was devastated. That's obviously that was the best 3 months of the year. Like that would have been 6 months of my year's revenue, in those 3 months. I missed it, but I did exactly what was asked of me. I covered the sign. I kept the doors shut, turned away tons of people, and I refunded thousands of dollars in deposits that were already made before I got the notice. So I did everything.
So you've been shut down since May?
Yes, sir.
June.
Or me. Next year, sorry.
June.
More questions of our applicant? You'll stand by. We may ask you to come back again.
Yes, sir.
Anybody an opponent of this would like to speak? Please come up, state your name, and let me swear you in.
Chair, I have received a public comment via email. I don't know if you accept that in or not, but I just wanted to let you know.
Sorry, within code policies, all that.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
I'm so sorry, pardon me, Mr. Chair. Would you make that clear for the public that you will not accept? I've received about a dozen emails and letters in opposition, and I've explained about having standing. And some of the audience may not understand that because they don't have standing, those letters will not be read. If you wouldn't mind, would you make that part of the official record?
Tori, do I need to?
Well, I mean, I can help explain. It's just the concept. It's not that the board doesn't care or have concern about other comments. Of course they do. It's just a matter of procedure and ensuring that those whose statements are considered actually have standing. We can't tell if they have standing unless they're here, even if they have a name and address on the letter. We don't really have a way to verify that that's the person. It's only people who are within this jurisdiction who have the standing, so to speak, and the vested interest in making comments. The board just wants to be sensitive and reserve time for those who really have.
I think what people don't know about us is we are that quasi judicial board, and they don't understand what that means. It's a legal proceeding where we swear in witnesses and, we take testimony, and so that's your point about not having, standing and, not being able to verify. Yes, sir.
Do we need to, point out his, they call it survey?
Petition?
Yeah, petition. Sir, would you like to speak?
Yeah.
Okay, would you, hand on the Bible, raise your hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Nick's a good friend of mine, and I will say that Madison is a fantastic friend of mine.
Would you identify yourself, please?
I am William Mack. I own Halo Heating and Air. We're actually located in Southport too.
Okay.
Madison is a good friend of mine, and I actually met Madison because he is fire marshal, as all of you guys might know. Whenever you open up a business in Southport, they don't tell you, hey, here's your paperwork to say, hey, you need a fire inspection, all this stuff. We had no idea. We were operating for about 3 months, give or take, before a buddy of mine that's on the fire department come up to me. He's like, you got your fire inspection in? I said, no, what's fire inspection? They don't tell you any of that about any type of permits, nothing like that. You just got to know, hey, if I'm putting something in my room or I'm doing electrical or heating and air, I got to have a permit. They don't tell you nothing about no fire inspections, no permits, anything like that. And you just hope for the best, I guess. I'm a big part of the community. We do a lot of the parades. We donate to the fire department, the police department. Chief Todd's a good friend. I've done multiple police officers, multiple firefighters. They all come up through there. On my standpoint, Nick's an outstanding guy. So is his partner. They both do great work. And I know change is weird and different, but it is time for a change. Bring something different to Southport. Maybe it'll help it out a little bit better. Yes, sir.
Name, service, and address. Okay. You're the property owner.
I'm probably,
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, so thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for being here today. This good tenant of mine has really worked hard to get this place open. He's saved thousands of dollars in countless hours working and remodeling my ability
to make sure that he has a nice facility to work out of. I've been nothing but extremely satisfied with what he has done and has attempted to do to improve that whole corner. And I'm very grateful to have a tenant as such and know that he will be nothing but a help to the community in any way that it can be. He's a really good guy, and I think the business will be very good. And where it is at, and it's absolutely a great location for, I think, everybody. I sure do appreciate your time.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Would you state your name and address, please?
You swear, right?
Yeah, when she states her name and address, I'll swear you in.
Emily Humphries, 204 East 8th, like a block from that.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, board, I'm a resident in 200 block. We've lived here in Southport for 20 years. And I had a prosperous business downtown for 10 of those years. I've been an alderman and I served on the Chamber of Commerce board. I'm at present confused about this meeting. I understand that the folks here have been thrown into a tizzy because of the dissolution of the ETJ. But this city operates under Unified Code Development and a planning board, and I've missed some kind of transaction here. I know that several years ago, 7 members of the planning board revised the UDO. They took 2 years to do it. They were serious about it. And then it was approved by 6 aldermen. That's 13 people that deliberated on the development of Southport. With the ETJ gone, certain territories are gone. Logically, I don't understand why the definition of the enterprises have changed, even if the territories are gone. That doesn't make any sense to me. And the UDO has not, there's nothing on the website about the UDO being changed. By definition, it still says that this establishment, tattoo and piercing establishments, are categorized by heavy industrial. So why would this definition have changed, even though the territory has changed? And even though 13 members of this community made the H5 determination, why does a tattoo establishment have to be downtown next to a residential area? Why not just put it beside Walmart or Lowe's? My block is not heavy industrial. And I don't understand the determinations that have been made and why we're throwing out what was there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Andrea Morgan, 202 East 8th Street.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Referencing parking. Parking is severely insufficient for the businesses that are on that block right now on the corner, specifically the bar, but of course the tattoo shop is going to add multiple cars and just what we've seen since April. And the work that they've been doing there, the people that have been going there, all hours of the day and night. It's not just 1 or 2 people that are in those chairs. Multiple people are going there, and it serves as almost a hangout for people late at night. Riding motorcycles up and down late at night, speeding down the road late at night, such that my husband has to yell for them to try to stop riding the motorcycles, and they yell back. They don't respect the neighbors. Children, 2 children and a dog, run unsupervised from that tattoo parlor since they've been open. I would strongly urge you all to consider, this is a residential area. It's a very quiet residential area, or it used to be a quiet residential area. The folks that are coming in now are not quiet. They don't respect the neighbors. And I would strongly urge you all to not put this shop there and not allow it to stay there.
Thank you.
My name is Crystal Beardsley. My address is 891 Westwood Road, but I also work at First Citizens. I am the branch manager.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Um, Your name is Greg again
Crystal Beardsley,
and address.
891 Westway Road.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
I've known Nick for years, him and his family. He has been a well-established member wherever he goes. Nick and his family, are just amazing. They are amazing part of whatever community they are involved in. I do know that this group or this community is growing, and we have a strong set of youth. I serve in multiple organizations for youth, and children are so important to our youth. And to have a safe place for them to go, not that this is a representative of them to go to a tattoo parlor, but we're supposed to support our community and be there for our community and activate as one. So to have a place to go where you're not gonna have to worry about a DUI after you leave or about any sort of negative implications of it, it's just not there. It's just positivity and togetherness in community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Any staff? Any questions of staff anymore? Okay. I think we can close this public hearing.
I got one.
Oh, sorry.
It's really not in relation to this, but when someone pulls a building permit, don't they also get informed of fire inspections and plumbing and electrical and everything that's required?
Sure, yes, sir.
So, okay. I just want to make sure that.
Can I speak?
Oh, one second. You come on back up as soon as he's down. All right. I have closed the hearing, so.
That's fine. Reopen?
Yeah, we open it.
No, that's fine. That was really acknowledgement to that permit,
Room could ask some questions.
yeah, okay. In acknowledgement to that permit, they do not tell you that. Because I have two shops in Southport now, and they did not tell me on either one of them. And the fire marshal right there can vouch for that too.
I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood the question. You were asking if a building permit would have.
The building permit process to go full
No,
permit.
that is correct. It does prompt you to go to the next level, which is a fire permit. Absolutely. And that's record. That's easily discovered if you go to OpenGov and pull up any permit, you'll see there's a line of different review agencies. Fire inspection is one of them, generally speaking. Things like that. Now, unless there's a change of use, we don't, zoning and planning doesn't see that permit unless they come to our office and or, so basically, if say you pull a building permit to replace a window or replace HVAC, my office will not see that.
Yeah.
And maybe not even fire, but there usually is a line of, it just depends on the permit, I should say.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Can you state the actual, what they're applying for, because it's not in the UDO, right? So that it's unclassified, is it and or unclassified, or is it actually unclassified now?
The special use permit is for a, if you look at UDO 3.8.6D, that is the, what the land use that they are filing for.
That in our package.
Yes, sir. Please let me know if that's not correct. I'm going from memory.
3.8.D.
6D. Oh, it may be 3.8D, sorry. It's been a little bit.
It says business, commercial, or other residential use not elsewhere classified, is that what? Classified now?
It's not classified. It is a business as commercial, non-residential. That's not been classified in the UDO. Because we no longer have a tattoo parlor.
I look up the UDO right now, that's the most current one that's approved, it doesn't show tattoo parlor.
It doesn't, well, it will show tattoo parlor. The UDO is out of the market. It is out of date right now, and that's why we are currently doing a text amendment.
When's it out of date?
It was out of date when the ETJ went, through.
A year ago.
Yeah.
Why? It's still, there's no governing. There's no governing, I mean, that's what governs the city of South. Would be a governing piece of paper, you know?
No, the media is still active and live.
Yeah.
It's just there's certain aspects of it that are out of date, out of.
I mean, yeah, but
That was the only category to handle.
it's still saying that it can't go here.
That's what, they haven't done that, that's what they would have done. That's what we said.
Okay, so they could still do that. They could still be in this position
Yes,
if this UDO was still accurate. Here they're saying it's not, but it's the government piece of paper.
yeah,
Okay. All right, we're good.
Mr. Chair, is that the only one that's in the UDO? Looks like,
no, there are 12 land uses that are no longer in the UDO.
no. I understand that they're working to remove this stuff, but it hasn't been published. It's not done yet. So we have to rule on what we have. Right, sir?
Well, unfortunately, that is what we see as far as the current version, but this is a state law matter. So as soon as the state law became effective and eliminated the ETJ, then that by as a matter of law eliminate the category, even if they happen to still not be written out in code. It's happened, sometimes there's a lag between what happens at the local level and the state level. The state law makes a change that essentially nullifies or renders obsolete various types of municipal law. Well, it's not like the municipal law gets to stay in effect simply because they haven't modified the code yet. There's a process to modify the code and everyone just moves forward as though those provisions are not applicable. They're not enforceable anymore.
I'm somehow like this in my head. How does the ETJ affect this tattoo parlor?
Because with that change, those certain categories, at least the three that you referred to, including the high industrial, heavy industrial, were eliminated when the ETJ jurisdiction was eliminated. And that was a matter of state law, which when it became effective, that is the impact on local codes that may have otherwise still stated in those classifications consistent.
I thought they were requested to come in as business district.
They're coming in on a category that's been there all throughout, which is one that's not classified. So now that there's not an express classification because of what happened under state law, they can come in under an unclassified category and seek approval not for a specific class, but for a business that's not otherwise classified, as long as it meets these criteria we're talking about.
If the ETJ had not been resolved, they would not have this avenue to pursue. Because they would still be classified as for the heavy industrial zoning. Since their business use is no longer classified, then they have this opportunity that they're pursuing today to come in and make an application for a special use permit within the business district.
That's correct.
Are there any business classifications that is unpermitted throughout?
No, they have null and void the land use itself.
Okay,
If they just were not permitted to, we wouldn't have it in the UDO.
so they become unclassified the moment there's nothing permitted.
Correct.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Our fire marshal has asked us to, I guess, shed some light on something that came up. Yeah.
Just to clarify something. So I'm the fire marshal, my name is Madison Drew.
Hand on the mic. I swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. So you got it?
Yes.
Sir.
Or just to make clarification, Wendell is correct. As far as pulling a permit, a building permit, that process is correct. When they fill out the application to remodel, to change to a special use or whatever, whatsoever, it does go through a certain process and the review takes place and it does come to the building inspector, to the fire inspector, such as that. Now, in this situation, there was not a building permit pulled. There was not an application that was pulled because he was not doing anything as far as changing anything structurally. And there was nothing done as far as changing the occupancy classification. The occupancy classification for that space stayed the same.
That's probably why he missed.
That's exactly why it was missed, because, the building inspector, after I had went and done a fire inspection, the only reason that he knew that he had to do a fire inspection was because a business owner called him and told him, you gotta get a fire inspection done. The only reason the building inspector knew anything about it was because I called the building inspector to make sure that the building inspector did not have anything to do. Now, with that being said, I'm not a zoning official. Wynn was zoning official, I had no involvement in that, and, so even I didn't know that there was zoning requirements in that aspect, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for that, Claire. That's good. I'm good.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, I will officially close the public hearing, but as you get discussion amongst the board.
If we approve this, we want to go in the store.
Right after this meeting.
We need to find.
Correct, that would be his first step, is getting a sign permit in.
But
But he can still operate from there.
We've done further discussion then? Call the question. Motion number one.
I'll make that it will not materially endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare if located or proposed and developed according to the plan submitted as approved.
That's use will not.
Will not get. And the finding of fact is that it fits in with similar businesses joining in that area.
I'll second that.
And second. All in support of that motion, signify by saying aye, raise your hand, whatever. Yeah. Opposed? The motion carries. Motion two.
I have a question on this conditions and specifications. This is where we speak about if there were any conditions that we would.
Again, here or at the end, we will ask that too.
Well, this exactly said this use meets all required conditions and specifications. So if there are conditions,
That's for the application.
that's for the application.
Most of the files to be given.
The use meets all required conditions and specifications on motion.
Do I have a second?
If you find in fact that it fulfills those all the conditions and specifications.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I'm sorry, what was the, finding the fact?
That it meets the required conditions and specifications.
Restating the. Restating.
Yeah.
Motion carried. Motion three.
Motion that the use will not adversely affect the use or any physical attribute of the adjoining or abutting property. The use is a public necessity or the public necessity. Adjoining properties is what the landowner owns. Clearly states it won't affect him and any of his business or his tenants, and the other adjoining property is a parking lot.
I got a second. Steve, second. All in support of the motion, signify by saying aye. Raise your hand. All opposed, same time. Motion four.
I would have mentioned the location, character, and use of developed according to the plan as submitted and approved will be in harmony with the area in which it is located and in general conformity with the city of Southport comprehensive plan. Finding of fact being that it fits well within the area it is.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Opposed, we got one opposite here.
Who was opposed?
Think, motion carried. Where we at? Five. Based on the findings pack, let's present in the Board of Adjustment. I have a motion.
I would recommend with conditions. We have discussion regarding the conditions now.
I've heard several hostile conditions come up during our discussions, such as the point of not making these into the motion yet, just to rattle those off. This decision, condition would be that this decision does not have bearing on the sign permit issue. That there'd be a limitation on the special use permit to this business operating for this purpose in this location. That there'd be a limitation to hours of operation, and that this would a change of use with or a change of tenant, this special use permit would end. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
It wouldn't be the business, it'd be the individual, the applicant. Wouldn't it be the applicant?
But however, we wanted to cast that the applicant
I mean, that's what.
would limit it to just the applicant as opposed to if they sold the business forward.
I want to see that, but I don't know how we can you advise us on how we do that?
I think the way that you initially stated it was what we had previously discussed, that the permit's duration would be consistent with the length of tenancy of this tenant for purposes of this tenant's business operation. But this tenant, and so long as this tenant does that, there doesn't start doing something different with still the same tenant, but changes the business type, right? So same tenant, same business purposes, same business operations.
Why would we do that?
Yeah,
You know,
it's an
is
individual.
there a reason for that?
I was my understanding that's what that was. I'm not.
I know this was discussed, but I didn't know the reason for that.
If it's a,
Because I think if the applicant is brought in, showing that someone that brings an attached parlor does completely something different where it is a hangout or something like that. I mean, it's show us that's not right now. You know, it's secluded back in that corner. I think that's where I see why it might be that limitation.
And just to be clear, I'm not saying you have to have it. I thought that was what you wanted to do. That was not trying to frame that. You know, and if you don't want to do that,
I'd rather see it from the board before it just passed down the line.
We have nothing to have it so that it wouldn't be able to change the type of business. Yes, tattoo parlor, okay? But there's all kinds of those, right? You guys agree with that? Go down Myrtle Beach. There's all kinds. There's some that's pretty good, there's some that's pretty bad. Right?
That goes for any kind of business stuff.
Yeah, but
Some are good, some are bad, you know, I mean.
I'm just thinking that because we have a tenant, we have a landlord, and I think we're in good fortune to have both here present. They're hearing all proceedings. I think if we include some reference to that ties the applicant and his business to the demised premise and any future amendments to the leasehold, because obviously you guys will have a lease of 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. You may amend it, okay? And that plays into it as well. And then you capture everybody's interest in one fell swoop. If it was owner applicant, none of that would apply.
Like I said, it's,
I think it just follows the applicant. Like, it matters.
But you have to tie his business to it too.
normally it wouldn't. Normally it goes with the property.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can have it, it is,
That's a property.
it is, in conception, it is a permitted use that applies to the parcel. And then it can be conditioned insofar as it is effective for so long as the parcel is used in a certain way. That is, this tenant for these purposes during the tenancy of that tenant. So it's still connected to the parcel fundamentally.
That makes sense to me, as far as hitting all the bases of what I think everybody talking toward, but in this concession, that, define the time, the location, the purpose, what's going on, basically what's outlined in the application.
Again, going back to that, right? It's all in.
So
One kind of land to it.
that line up with what your
Yeah.
artwork is.
Mhm.
And then I guess there's no way to give a, Greg, I believe I've got this wrong, there's no way to give a special use permit except as to the land.
Right. So it goes to the parcel because that's the nature of special use permits.
This is a land parcel, not a condo.
Right. So
So it's the whole thing, not just.
because you have the UDO, and the UDO applies to parcels of land, and parcels of land have to be handled and managed in a certain way. So if you want an exception from that or approval to do something that requires approval, it adds to the parcel itself. And so the parcel itself gets the permit, and you can have conditions on it that say this permit is valid under these conditions as to the parcel. And then there they would be, if this is what you want, as to this particular tenant for these particular purposes during the length of that tenancy.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
It's a crazy question. With doing that, without having to do anything, could they bring, beer and alcohol into that operation?
I think that's a separate issue. That's not the same business. It would require separate approvals and licensures as
Yeah,
well.
it require different license. Or additional license.
And that's obviously a different purpose.
That's not what we're here.
Yeah, I can-
I don't intend to sell anything else.
All right, gang, where are we at on the conditions?
What, 5?
Regarding conditions wise,
I took
I think
a
the,
stab at it.
yeah,
I took a stab at the motion. Right, we can,
My man.
let's
Okay.
start somewhere and make
Yeah.
it work, all right?
Yeah.
I just said, I abbreviated SUP, right? SUP is granted to run with the applicant's business within the demised premises as noted in the application. He's identified the apartment unit on parcel, his business.
You describe what the business is about in the application.
Right.
So you're just sort of incorporating by reference the application itself.
And tying it to the premises and the business.
I agree with that, but I'll also make sure we say the sign has no bearing on.
Yes.
That's one condition, and you can have others
That's
like
our
hours of
condition.
operation, stuff like that.
Sign violation is a separate issue. This whole.
The condition the timeframe, I would not like people there at 3 a.m. Is it reasonable to
Sunset it.
sunset at midnight, whatever? I mean,
When does the tiki bar have to close?
2:30 in the morning is when everyone has to leave.
I don't think we ought to, I think we ought to let it go along with the way we've got it.
I don't know if we have that power. Tell someone.
The business owners.
Yeah.
Do we have the authority to?
Is tell someone when the foundation closed? I mean, isn't that kind of in the UDO and noise ordinance, things of that nature?
Well, I do think you can impose, as what we've talked about, it stated, even though in the criteria for the non-specified classification, that you can control time, place, location, time and place, relevant to operation. But it's probably also relevant and only fair to consider the hours of the other businesses that are right nearby, like the Tiki Bar, you know, and it's reasonable to consider what their operation about, what their hours are like, and take that into consideration. And as long as your determination is within the scope of that, seems reasonable. I do think you have discretion, in other words.
But I think fitting in the area, I think you would have to, you know, Beartown next opposed to Ford, Tiki.
Well, I just threw it out there.
Yeah.
Because
And we do have the right to set hours to a certain extent. Yeah, it says 4 to 12, I think, but I think it would be unfair to make it beyond that. If your business next to you is staying wide open until 2:30, so. You want to put a cap, I think the cap has to be agree with the area.
What does the application say for the hours?
Well, 4 to 12, I think it says, no mistake.
is the applicant comfortable with that?
Yes.
No,
yes,
I
Four to
I
12.
thought it said 4 to 1.
Well,
Right, it is.
Well, sometimes our actual closing hours is 2, but like if I'm in the chair with someone at 11:30 and I still have 2 hours to go, it'll just be, I'll still close the door, but we'll still be in there together finishing their tattoo.
That's,
I think it's-
I just threw it out. I mean, just, I'm not.
no,
Okay, do we have all the conditions? Are you done? Jason,
That's all, I mean, everything that.
are you clear, Toby?
So are we putting a time limit?
I'm not recommending it.
it's like it's applied for.
So you want to make a motion that to leave it as it's applied for?
We don't need a motion. do
No,
Well, you, I mean, yeah,
we're not adding that as a
you're not
condition.
adding that? Okay.
Unless someone chooses to. I brought it up, not just to see what the flavor of the board was.
I mean, as you pointed out, they still are subject to noise ordinances and the other regulations that apply. That's what general, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, you have that?
So we're just going with the, to run with the applicant's business within the demise premise that noted within the application.
Right.
Okay.
It's- People good with that? You know? Good. So we call the question, number 5?
Second.
Are you clear about what number 5 is? Just so, I mean, Tori's taking notes there. Got the 2 conditions. Is it been clearly
You got the 2 conditions, right, Toby? I'm just ready to read it.
There's only one condition. Right, it's just one.
All right, so we've got
Because
no
we're
conditions,
saying-
with conditions, or a denial.
His application. He put in that business hour.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
But then Tuck restated it, correct?
I think you stated.
Tuck, you stated. Yeah.
And it's here.
Yeah. No,
No, I think I have it.
you support, is it okay to change?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's call the question. Hey, could we hear what it is?
So it's to run with the applicant's business within the demise premise that noted within the application.
Good. We have a second? You had a motion, right? Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Any opposed, same sign. No opposed, motion carries. It's been approved. You'll let it within a couple of weeks,
Thanks.
I guess, you know, but I don't know. When it says it's okay to do, Harley will be in your chair in a minute. Everybody give it.
Thank you so much. I'm not gonna let you guys down.
Sorry.
I still don't understand how it went from heavy industrial to business. I didn't understand that. You know, I don't understand. Now, if you volunteer, how would you?
All in favor?
How did they make that?